Okay, so I am now to the point where my fibers are starting to come my out of my nylon stocking, and so I'm to the point where I want to cut this off. And my scissors again, and so you want to get this. You want to stretch it out a little bit, so that you're only cutting the nylon and not the wool and not the balloon. So I'm just wanting to make sure that everything is not, I don't want anything to be in there when I cut this. And I did get a little bit of my wool. All right, so when you're pulling this off, you've got a nice little hole there now to pull this off. You're going to be able to hear this probably coming out. And so this is telling me that this is starting to felt. Okay, so you just hold it and pull it. Work your way around. And you're going to pull some of those fibers off onto the nylon stocking. That's okay. The majority of it will stay around your balloon. So I'm just holding these little wispies that are down here because they may end up felting in with some of this. All right, so I now have like a really good opening for my bowl. This is really pretty. I like the way the colors have worked together. A couple of things that I probably would do differently next time. You can see I've got some holes in here. So some of this is kind of thick in some areas, and then it got really thin in other areas. So the next time I did this, I would make sure that I had a really good solid layer of wool before I lay down my second layer. That's because this shifted or did something to make it where this is showing through. So that means that my first layer, because remember we wrapped it and the outside, the bottom layer was the outside. So that tells me that my bottom layer was not thick enough when I started all of that, okay? So we're gonna go back to our warm water. We're gonna felt this for just a little bit longer, just to finish off those fibers. We're gonna soak this in that warm water. Once again, letting it soak up that soap and that water. And we're gonna roll this again for about 5 more minutes, and then we will move on to the next step. Just make sure your balloon doesn't come out at this point. Because my opening is at the top already, I'm just going to mainly work on the sides and the bottom and not really worry so much about this area up here because I'm going to end up cutting off some of this anyway. And so I just want to make sure that this bottom and these sides are nice and felted. So wherever I tied my balloon is where I'm not going to worry about felting so much on that. Okay. So we're going to come back when this is done and I will show you what to do next. fibers to where they kind of pass the pinch test. They're not wanting to pull apart as much. That one maybe a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. All right, so at this point, I am ready to cut my balloon. I've got some really cool things going on here with these fibers, but I need to cut this balloon, so I'm just going to cut a little hole and it will pull itself out. And I now have a really cool bowl that I have made. So my next step is going to be to go rinse this out in just cool water. I've got to get all that soap out of here. So I'm going to go rinse this and I'll be back and I'll show you what we can do to finish this up. All right, so this is going to take about 24 hours to dry depending on the climate that you're in. So you can just set it in, set it on a dry towel and let it dry, for the day, and then come back to it. If you want to, when you've got everything dry, if you wanted to cut, like I've got these fibers here, I could either leave those for the look. They're kind of cool looking, how it created almost like a cell. These look like planets or, like things in space to me. It's really cool. And so if you wanted to, you could leave those like as an artistic license kind of thing. Or you could cut those off and just make this have like a rounded edge. And so when we go live in our check-in next time on Facebook, I will show you some ways that you can kind of manipulate this and make it do what you want it to do. We'll play around with that a little bit. All right, so we're going to let this dry, and then you decide how you want to finish it off. And you've got a really cool bowl that you have made out of fibers, and even the inside is really neat because it's got all of those wispy white pieces that we added back on at the end, but you can still see all of the colors. You've got all of your colors out here. So I hope that you enjoy making this and learning a new skill, and I can't wait to see what you create.